Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Film Nobodies. Today, we will be talking about the film Disclosure Day. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It's honestly, I think it was his biggest box office success since, Crystal Skull, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
He
So,
didn't direct Crystal Skull, though, did he? Was he a director or was he the producer on that one?
that's a good question.
I thought
Hold
he
on.
produced it, but somebody else directed it. I could be wrong. It's definitely in the Spielberg style, but I'm not sure that he actually.
Yeah.
But that's a good.
Let me-
Yeah, I mean that's interesting.
Yeah, he directed it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, this is his biggest success since that movie, I'm pretty sure. It had a budget of, let's see here, 115 million. And then in the box office, it did $203 million, which you would think would be a profit, but apparently the marketing also plays a role in it. And so I think they had to make 300 million to break even on absolutely everything. So I think it it faltered just a little bit in the box office. But $203 million is still a lot of money. So a lot of people want to see this movie.
Yeah. Only in Hollywood is that considered like a mediocre success. You're like.
Yeah, I know,
Made
right?
$200 million in like a day.
It's like you're Steven Spielberg. How did you not make $1 billion?
It's like
Seriously?
every movie now has to be on like Avengers Endgame level in order for the Hollywood press to say it was successful. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think it was relatively successful, even though it did have a crazy budget, but
It was
in
also,
my opinion,
it was also a niche
he knows how to
audience,
use it.
I think like it's Spielberg, so it's a big blockbuster movie, so everyone's going to hear about it. But you're not going to tune in to see it unless you've got some interest in the alien folklore and culture and that kind of thing. So I do think that there's also like a niche that he was reaching with this audience, which is
I agree.
I think that niche is growing every year. There's a lot of legitimate interest in it because of all the press in the last probably 10 years with legitimate UFO and news from DoD and stuff like that. But still, I think it's kind of a niche audience.
I agree. I think it was huge when the trailer dropped, but I think the popularity of it kind of like tapered out a little bit when it actually dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just how I kind of saw it, because everyone was like, "Oh my God, new Spielberg," and it was like her doing like the whole clicking thing on the news, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
Yeah.
And then like I kind of heard like less and less people talk about it, which is unfortunate. But
I have a sneaky suspicion that like a lot of people tuned in to see the movie because they were expecting destruction and the aliens invading kind of crap, and it wasn't that. It was a much more like nuanced story, which let's be honest, American audiences aren't always great at staying tuned in to movies like that. So.
Yeah, definitely not what I expected either. I did expect something. I don't know, the whole like clicking thing. I definitely expected something else. I'm not disappointed on what I saw, but I could see why people would be a little bit like, not standoffish, but like, I don't know, maybe a little bit disappointed that it didn't reach their expectations. Yeah, but. Either way, this is his 6th Alien movie, which is crazy to me.
Actually, you were telling me that while we were planning for this podcast, but interestingly, you just mentioned, and I didn't realize he actually directed Crystal Skull. That's an Alien movie.
Oh, yeah, you're right, it is.
So this is his 7th Alien. There's probably 1 or 2 in there that we didn't even think about, too. But
yeah,
of his known portfolio, this is his 7th.
Wow, I actually didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, when you just said that, I was like, wait a minute, that's an Alien movie. So.
Yeah, I was watching Disclosure Day, and at the time, I knew he already made at least like 3 others like off the top of my head. And so I was like, wow, I wonder if he, finds this topic interesting,
He
just
does.
makes
In fact, in the lead
so
up
many
to the
movies.
release of this, I read an article about an interview he had where he actually expressed interest in. This isn't like just a business model for him in Hollywood movie making. Like he knows it brings audiences in. There's a legitimate interest and belief there from Spielberg about intelligent life. So it's kind of kind of a backstory with him. So.
Yeah, it's definitely apparent to me. And honestly, I'm happy for it. Like usually when he drops an alien movie, it is good. Like E.T. is one of the biggest classics ever.
Mm-hmm.
Close Encounters is a good horror movie, and War of the Worlds I think is a great movie. But those are like off the top of my head. I haven't seen every alien movie he's dropped, but yeah, exactly. Definitely the ones I'm familiar with, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the sixth one, and I think we could just kind of jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the plot. It's a pretty heavy, dense plot, and I think it starts out like, in my opinion, fantastic. It kind of grabs you right off the bat. It starts off with that whole like trailer shtick, like that vibe is like there, where she has no idea what's going on, and she could just like speak different languages, and like even before she goes onto the news, like she's like, what was it? She's speaking like German or Russian. I think it was Russian to her boyfriend. And like she has no idea like what he was talking about when he said that she was doing that. And I was like, what the hell is going on? But like in a good way. I'm like, what is what is this? And when she like gets pulled over by the cop and stuff, and she's like, she knows everything about him. And I'm like, what? How is this possible? So I feel like it kind of grabs you off the bat. I think the whole thing with the other main character, what's his name? It's like David or Daniel Kellner or something, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
The one played by Josh O'Connor.
Yeah, Daniel Kellner. Yeah, he's like the whole thing with him, I thought was a little, what do you call it? Cliche, with the whole like company, finds him and grabs him. They're gonna kill him because he knows this information.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's a little, cliche. But all of the stuff with Emily Blunt was really well done, because it kind of just really made me want to understand what the hell's going on here. Mm-hmm. Especially when she goes on the news and she does like the whole clicking thing. Like it's like it freaks everyone out, and she has to like, dip and stuff. But I think it starts great. How do you feel about the beginning?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the better parts of the movie was how the story just kind of like gave you layers, and you were just kind of your slow revelations of like what was happening to both of these characters, and then it slowly merges, towards the middle of the movie where you kind of understand the connection and stuff, and it's brought together really slowly, but then it's done with like these punches of action sequences that were really well done. So I think the story unfolded really well, and like you said, I think it grabs you in the beginning, and then it just kind of feeds you slowly through the movie, because you're constantly like, wait, what about this? What about that? And it slowly gives you, what you're looking for as you get closer and closer to the end. So I like how he did that.
Yeah, I agree. Once we get to like towards the middle, I think it continues that pace for the most part. Like when they find each other and they realize that they're like both like special, and like the whole scene on the farm with his sister, or it was his sister, right? Or was it no?
No, this is.
Am I tripping?
Josh O'Connor.
This is his girlfriend. Yeah. Sorry. No, yeah, his girlfriend. Like her getting manipulated by the whole like whatever you call the crystal that he has to squeeze, and he like he transforms into her body and like acts for her. I feel like all of that stuff is super captivating, and it's convoluted,
Yeah.
but it makes me like want all of these answers. I think that scene is probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing. Is when it leads up to the farm scene where he like exactly finds their location and he has to like run out of there. And the whole like one shot take where he has to sneak up and like steal the car, and like he just rams it into the farm. Like that was pretty crazy. I like that a lot. That's where I saw that I was like, wow, Spielberg really knows how to use a budget, because I mean, $115 million is a lot, but like not like crazy. Yeah. It's like he used that money. Like it felt so real. I really like seeing it.
Yeah, he did. And then that scene, or like actually like several scenes where you have the bad guy played by Colin Firth. He is using this magical power, alien power, to like manipulate Josh O'Connor's girlfriend and do other things and stuff like that. But I don't think any of that would have worked well if it weren't for like some really solid performances in there to kind of display kind of the intensity of what was happening. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel cheesy. It felt, you felt kind of gripped by what was going on. So I thought that was pretty well executed. And if it hadn't been, that probably would have been one of the movies like weakest links. So I think that whole part of it had to go well for the movie to feel real and for you to feel like there's something really intense going on. So I think that was important.
Yeah, I agree. And then honestly, it then leads into like another one of the most like visually captivating scenes I've ever seen in like a movie like this, where they get like stuck on the train and the car just gets dragged.
Yeah, getting dragged. Yeah.
It looks so good, and it made the action scene like really impressive and like fun to watch.
I'll tell you what, the I know we're getting into the visuals a little bit here, but
yeah,
what I thought you were going to say, because I thought one of the most unique visuals and coolest scenes was when she made the whole house disappear inside the hangar. And
oh yeah, that was good.
They had like the fire truck going off, and they're like, "What the hell is going on?" Like they can't see it, but it's all happening in real life. They just can't see it. So, you see them getting knocked out of the way and everything else. I thought that was really pretty cool how they pulled that off, and it was kind of funny, but it was action packed, and it was like a display of the power that she had that she didn't even know she had. So I thought like the whole scene was like really powerful in a lot of different ways. It was just kind of cool visual to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think when like it starts to get to the part where she understands, or they both understand like the power that they possess, I think that's when it gets a little bit corny in terms of like her being like the Messiah and stuff, and like, or them both being like the Messiah pretty much. I didn't really like how it led to that part specifically, but I did like how it like revealed what happened in their past, because like the whole time they're like they don't want to talk about it. I was like, what horrible thing happened? And I probably should have been able to guess it, but I wasn't able to watching it. Like what happens? Spoiler alert, by the way. And how like it was them getting like probed by the aliens and stuff like that, and how the aliens are like, because like you always see like adults getting like taken and like probed, and it's like, oh, that's crazy. But like the fact that it happened to them when they were like kids just feels like so like weird and like off-putting. And I could like absolutely see why they like never wanted to talk about it, and why they kind of like blocked that memory from their lives, or at least her, So I really did like that part, and how it kind of like played into who they are now and why they're so important. But yeah, I just thought that the whole like, I don't know, like them being like the most powerful people, like the most important people, like Messiah type deal. I thought that was a little corny, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it worked in the movie, but I could see that perspective.
Yeah. But then the ending, I know we're getting a little off track here, but it does have a lot to do with the plot. So I guess we'll just talk about the ending here. I think that they did a really good job revealing the whole alien thing to the world. Like when she goes into the back to her news station and she like gives the speech and then they like drop all the files, and it's actually like kind of hard to watch, you know, seeing the aliens get like scooped up by the military and tortured and like they got like limbs missing. Like that was a really unique like alien movie thing that I've never really seen before. Like weirdly enough,
I agree with that. Like as part of the plot, my expectation through the whole movie up into like the farm scene when he reveals the videos of the aliens being tortured, and that is what kind of made him go, I've got to stop this, and that's why he was. That's the whole motivation behind Josh O'Connor's character. But up until that point, my expectation was it's going to be the typical. He saw that there's like definitive proof that there's aliens, and the world has to know about it. The stereotypical thing. But there's this little twist in there that's not really what's motivating the characters. What's motivating them is that these are bad people doing bad things to what are at least seemingly humane and good aliens. So it's like this kind of weird twist that you didn't expect, and I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie as part of the plot. So I thought that was pretty cool. Usually the aliens are either the bad guys or they're all powerful and we can't touch them. So they're just there to reveal some knowledge to us or something. In this case, somehow they got wrapped up in our craziness, and we were able to actually harm them, and we're taking advantage of them and torturing them and things like that. To me, that was like, oh wow, okay, that's kind of an interesting plot twist, and that was really the motivation behind the whole movie, behind the characters, behind what's his name, Coleman Domingo and Josh O'Connor and the whole rest that were trying to fight against the machine that was hiding all this stuff. It wasn't about revealing aliens just to reveal aliens. It was about stopping these these terrible atrocities that our government was behind. I thought that was really interesting. It was just different.
Yeah, I agree. And the way they do it too, to where it just like keeps rolling. Like they have the first clip, and they have to like convince New York, like, okay, just like drop this clip, and they're like, what are you talking about? And then they drop it, and everyone's like silent. Like the whole world is silent because they're just watching this unfold, and it just goes clip after clip after clip of like hard watches, and it just like I feel like I'm there in the like the panel rooms with those people, like the editor rooms with those people, because like I'm also kind of stunned. Like I'm silent. I'm like, oh wow, this is bad, dude. I could see why they wanted to keep these hidden, bro. Like it's so bad.
I forget her name, but the actress that was doing the anchor job and kind of like revealing this stuff in real time, kind of thing. What did you think of her performance on that part of it? Because that was a really important part of the movie. So.
Are you talking? Oh, the main anchor girl that was like kind of explaining it. I thought
like, trying to explain what was happening.
Yeah, I think that also did a really good job of playing into that, because she gives the commentary that nobody else is willing to give, and she kind of voices everybody's thoughts while they're watching it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah, like I'm sorry you have to watch this. This is like horrible. And stuff. Like I think it honestly like humanized it, you know, because you have the editor rooms with the people who are just trying to do their jobs, but then you have somebody who's doing their job and they just can't, because it's like so hard to watch, you know. Like it felt like what an actual news anchor would probably say in a situation like this, you know, because it's, I mean, like, how do you even like think about that?
Do you think people would actually in real life, if something like that happened and that big reveal happened in the news, do you think people would actually believe it? Or would you think that this is like some, do you think most people would be like, oh, this is some kind of hoax?
I think that's exactly what people would think. At least like a lot of people. You know, it would be definitely like split. Like people who think that it's real, and then other people who are like it's like because like AI is like rampant. You know, like no one's gonna believe that unless it was like actually like what do you call it? Verified. You know, like verified real footage, which I think yeah, I think they do that in the movie. Like a little like side note, like this is
something about that.
Yeah, it's not AI. So if they like broadcasted that to everybody, I feel like more people would get it. But
I think
mean, a lot of people
just don't want to believe it. So no matter what kind of proof you put in front of them, unless you had like the president of the United States standing there saying that this is true and this is a thing, I think you'll always have a faction of people who just don't believe it, no matter how hardcore the evidence is. So like that reveal is about as intense as it can get, and that would be the maximum thing that you could possibly do to convince people. But even then, I think you'd still have a lot of people that were like, me.
Yeah, so, didn't seem
it's
real.
It's just too hard to believe, you know. I think a lot of people don't want to believe it because there's so many implications to that if it's true, you know. And there's so many more questions and I just think a lot of people would prefer to keep their head in the sand. So.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like most people would probably like, especially with that footage, I think people would believe it. I would.
Yeah,
for sure.
Same.
If it was like verified, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think like when you get to the very end with Colin Firth, kind of like giving up pretty much. Like, okay, well, I just lost. I thought that was pretty good because I mean it like added to the like reveal even more, you know, like he's just like, yeah, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
You know, and then
he took it as far as
I did like that. Yeah. And then I don't know if I like that they like brought the alien out and was like, oh, this is like I don't like what was that alien again? It was like the person who like probed them in the first place or was like communicating with them, like
no, I think he was.
What was that alien?
He was kind of like Colin Firth's prisoner for decades, and he was feeding information. Okay. And Coleman Domingo is the one that helped orchestrate his escape, and he's the one that had put all these pieces in place in the first place to kind of make this reveal. So I think to kind of save his own species from like the human intervention, but also to, you know, get past the government blocker of like alien to human connection. And I think that was his whole point, and that he was trying to do that Colin Firth was preventing. And Coleman Domingo saw that as like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to work to reveal this, and let there be a connection between the human world and the alien world. I think that was kind of the whole point of it. I do think the movie needed the alien reveal. I don't. If you had done that, it's like having a 7-course meal and never getting dessert. You just like think leave unsatisfied. So I think it needed the only thing. So if you want to move on to like visuals, I think we beat up the plot pretty good. I think it's a solid plot, by the way. The story was good. It was nuanced. There are some, like you said, there are some cheesy moments in it, but you know, I think it was supposed to be kind of a higher. I don't know, trying to have a positive message, and I think that was, you know, it's very Spielberg-esque of him. So I didn't mind it, but I do think there were some cheesy moments. But I think the story was really solid. It had some unique twists in it. And it had some solid performances. I think Emily Blunt was the strongest in the entire group. She was fantastic in the movie.
Yes. She locked in for that role. It was crazy.
She was really good. I think everyone else did a solid job. I don't think there's any, Oscars here or anything like that. But the movie moved along well. Everyone did their job, and I think everyone had a really good performance. But on the visual side, you did not have to know that Steven Spielberg directed this to know that Steven Spielberg directed this, right? It had all the styling.
Absolutely.
It was definitely
Yeah.
a Spielberg movie. It had the Indiana Jones kind of vibe to it, with the normal, like, the lighting type things he uses, and the different styles he does with the very dramatic kind of almost 50ish vibe with, like, the government, and how they suffocate you and that kind of thing. I think all of that Indiana Jones type vibe he brought into the movie, into like a unique kind of story around aliens, and the visual effects he used were really, really good. The only complaint I have is one of the reasons I always like fell in love with Spielberg movies is because he would always drove his movies with a lot of like real animation and graphics. I mean, if you think about like Jurassic Park and what he did with Jurassic Park and having like real animatronics in those movies, expertly weaved in with like visual effects and things like that. To me, that was like the perfect balance. In this movie, it was 100% CGI, and in most of it, he did a really good job. The one, well, I should say all of it, he did a really good job. But the one thing I was really hoping for is to see like some kind of physical world animation around the alien. When they did the alien reveal, I was really hoping I would have like a Jurassic Park moment there, but it was all CGI. So that was the only complaint I had. It was good. It wasn't cheesy or anything. It was well done, but I was still like, man, I would have loved to have seen like an actual alien in an animatronic suit or something. That would have been pretty cool. So
that's true. I think I think he was kind of like trying to immerse himself in like the modern world in terms of like the technology we use, because like I do respect practical effects, and I do hate when people overuse CGI, and this movie uses a lot of CGI. But I am still glad that at the very least he really put it to use. Like he made sure that there was still plenty of effort put into the CGI instead of just just throw a CGI alien in there and it'll probably be good, just like whatever,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of thought. I think the aliens looked a little generic. That's another thing. The aliens looked pretty generic, which I didn't like, but still,
I think it was classic alien.
Yeah, which is like fine,
and that's what he's done. He did in Close Encounters, and stuff like that. So I think he was kind of going old school on this. Which I think it worked. I appreciated what he was doing there, but it just didn't do. I was just hoping for it didn't do much.
Yeah, the practical thing. Yeah, it just didn't do anything for me like that. Like look of the. I've seen that a million times. So like the reveal was cool, and like I said, like the fact that he made sure that the effort was put into that CGI was absolutely necessary. Because if he chose to like not treat that as a priority, then having that classic look like that I've seen a million times and having like mediocre CGI would have made me feel a lot worse about the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that he gave that the priority it deserved, and yeah, I mean I would have preferred practical effects as well, but I am glad that he put in the effort for the CGI.
He didn't phone it in. I mean, I don't think it was Avengers level CGI, where it was.
No, but it had half the budget. Like it's crazy.
Exactly. I think he did well with the budget he had, and the CGI worked well. So to me, it's like there's kind of layers to CGI quality. You got like the bare knuckles crap that just this is horrible. Then you got like mediocre, which you could tell it's CGI. It's like it's a little bit of a distraction. And then you got some top shelf stuff, which is where I think he's at. And then you've got like some extraordinary CGI, which is probably extremely expensive. That's stuff I think we see in like Marvel and things like that, which is it's almost indistinguishable from real world. I don't think we were there in this movie, but it was pretty close. It was good.
It was close, yeah. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was good.
Especially for a movie like this, I just didn't expect CGI like that in this movie. Like I expected it to be like normal, like average, because it's like an alien movie and it is Spielberg, but it's not like crazy like Avatar or like Transformers where the CGI is the movie. You know,
Yeah.
because that's not what this movie is. Not a CGI movie,
Yeah.
but the CGI was still like almost to that level, which
Yeah.
honestly, it really impressed me.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, he used it well. It's like you said, he knows how to use a budget. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's why he's made
Spielberg.
every movie he comes out with. You know, it's a big dramatic hit because people tune in to see how he tells a story, and he's got a unique way of telling a story. He's definitely got his own style. Love it or hate it, I love it. I think he's the best director of our generation, and his movies will stand the test of time for a long, long time. I mean, you could still go back and watch you could watch E.T., which is 50 years old, and love every minute of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes off cheesy. It's still a great movie. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, come on. Yes, you can see some of the visual effects in there, but the movie's almost 60 years old. So come on, it's great filmmaking in my opinion, and I think he's done in all of his movies. He does a great job. In fact, it's like a little bit of a tangent, but yesterday we were watching because 4th of July. We decided to watch some like historical movies, right? So we watched Saving Private Ryan, and we watched Lincoln, which are to me 2 of his best movies. I absolutely love both of those movies. Saving Private Ryan is just such an awesome, impactful movie, not just from a movie making perspective, but the storytelling involved and giving us that level of granularity in the war. That's the Steven Spielberg style, and I think he brought that to Disclosure Day too, in this kind of concept that I think everyone's still struggling with around are aliens real? Are UFOs real? All this other stuff. So I think he did a good job telling the story, and I think he did it. The typical awesome Spielberg job of putting his own style and spin on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. To touch on the performances a little bit before we rate it, I do want to reiterate that Emily Blunt's performance in this is probably the best I've ever seen from her. If I'm being honest, I'm gonna actually look at her filmography real quick to verify that opinion, because it was actually insane. I don't know what it was, but because I've seen online like TikToks of her like reacting or like commentating on her being picked for a Spielberg movie, and you could tell that she was like stoked to be in a Spielberg movie. And I think she absolutely brought her A game because of it. And I think it was honestly through all of those like little nuances of her speaking different languages, like her accents were on point. The way she was like reacting to like her being so strange, because I feel like that's such a hard role to play, is like being like affected by this alien thing that like makes you speak and like her guttural like clicking and stuff, and then she's like reacting to it, and it's just so interesting to see her perform in that way. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking at her filmography right now. This is my favorite role from her.
I can see that
over all the movies that she's been in.
She did a great job. Yeah.
And, I mean, and she gets a huge spotlight in this movie as well, compared to a lot of the other movies that she's been in. I feel like there are a couple movies where she also really shines, like A Quiet Place. I feel like she really shines.
She was.
And then I haven't seen Sicario, but I've heard she's also like fantastic in that as well.
I think she wanted to be in a Spielberg movie just to make her husband jealous.
I definitely believe it. I feel like anybody would be jealous,
Well, you know who her husband is,
but
right?
John Krasinski, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah,
up and coming director.
Yes. Yeah, I'd be jealous too,
Yeah.
But, I feel like this was a very shining moment for her, and I'm very glad that she brought, her best acting abilities, because it impressed me a lot. I was very happy with her performance.
Yeah, and it's like I said, there's a couple moments in that movie, like if the performances were not there, it would have been not that great. But
same thing with Colin Firth. I feel like, because I've seen him in, I mean, obviously he did King's Speech, right?
He's been in a lot of
but
stuff.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff too. Yeah,
A lot of romantic.
but honestly, I
movies,
liked him better in this movie than I liked him in King's Speech. Like he was a great villain.
Well, he's being directed by Spielberg too, so I mean.
Yeah, so he's bringing his A game as well. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I was just impressed because like you said before, like if he was like a worse actor, and like it would have been like super corny.
Yeah,
it would have been super corny. So I think because it was him, I think it was excellent. So and then even like Josh O'Connor, like I don't really know him too much. I know he's been in a couple things I've seen, but he brought his A game as well apparently because he also did a fantastic job. You know, I thought the performances were really well done for the most part. Honestly, probably the worst performance I in the movie is probably Wyatt Russell, but it's only because he's in it for like 2 seconds. You know,
that's the
and even he,
Emily Blunt's boyfriend.
Yeah, and even he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of the comic relief in my opinion. I don't think that he was really. I think he was there to kind of like bring some context to Emily Blunt's character, and he did his job.
I agree.
He did what he needed to do.
But yeah, I think the performances were great, especially from the main characters.
I agree.
But now we can get into our rating of the movie. What are you going with today?
I'm gonna go with probably an 8.5. It was a really good movie. I don't think it was Spielberg's best movie, but it's very entertaining. Plus, it has a really interesting story to it, an interesting point. Some messaging behind it, and everything really lined up in the movie well, from the plot to the visuals to the actual performances and storytelling execution.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Very close.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8, maybe 8.5, something like that. But
I know you're a Spielberg, guy. You're
just because of Spielberg.
Yeah, a little bias in there, but nothing wrong with a little bias. It is Spielberg. But yeah, I'd say I feel pretty much the same about the movie as you do. A little bit of cheesy moments and corny themes, but other than that, I think it's a really well-made movie, and I'd probably go back and watch it at some point.
For sure.
And I was happy with it. I was scared I was going to be disappointed because I saw a lot of mixed reviews online. Yeah. Like, a lot of people hate it.
I think don't know what showing up to see explosions and wars and that kind of crap, and this wasn't that. If you're expecting to go see a movie, you're going to be disappointed. So this was a much more nuanced movie. It was more about connection, not just human connection, but intelligent connection. What makes us intelligent, and what is a connection with a superior race look like, and what could it look like? And I think that's what this movie was really all about. Which is, to me, more interesting than, dropping bombs and going to war with aliens. I mean, those are always fun movies. Nothing wrong with those. Yeah. But, this isn't that. It's not supposed to be that, so don't expect it.
Yeah, I feel like with what he was going for, it could have easily been bland and, kind of boring.
Oh, yeah. But he punched it with action in the right ways, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I think he did a really good job of making it super interesting and captivating.
Yeah, entertaining for sure.
So I definitely do not understand people who say it's the worst movie they've ever seen. And I have seen those videos. It's crazy. How is that possible? So I actually don't understand that.
And people might just be trolling. It's a Spielberg movie, right? So when you're as big as Spielberg, you're always going to attract people who want to just be naysayers because it's controversial. So whatever.
Yeah. So I was just confused because I really enjoy the movie. But the last thing we do before we leave, I would like for us to rank his Alien movies. See where this lands in his discography. I don't think either of us. Okay, so let me just iterate what his Alien movies are. There are 6 of them.
There's 7. Remember 7?
Or 7? Yes, sorry, 7. Firelight, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., AI. War of the Worlds, Disclosure Day, and Indiana Jones and was it called the Kingdom of the Crystal
I
Skull?
think so. Yeah.
Okay, so neither of us have seen Firelight, so we can kind of just put that aside. That was for everybody who doesn't know, it was an indie film that he self-funded. I think it was his debut.
The 60s, you said?
But yeah, 64. So I'll have to check. Both of us will have to check that out at some point. But we will put that aside for now since we haven't seen it. I think all the others you have seen. I haven't seen AI, but I've seen the rest of them. So I'll let you go first.
Okay, I think for me, it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, being number one. I really like that movie. It's very, it could be a horror movie, but not really, because it also has a message, and it's a positive message, but it's also spooky and creepy, so I don't know. He just did a fantastic job with Close Encounters. Then E.T., then Disclosure Day. So I put him number three, so middle of the pack, really. Then I would say War of the Worlds, Crystal Skull, and this is strictly from like an alien perspective, not like movie making perspective or anything like that.
Okay.
And then I would put AI at the bottom. And the only reason I say that is because I really need to go back and watch AI. When I first saw it, it's like, I don't know, I think the movie's like 20 years old now. I thought it was kind of dry and boring. So I don't know if I gave it the attention it really deserved. So I want to go back and watch it. But I definitely don't think it was as good as Disclosure Day in terms of the entertainment value. But that's kind of the listing I would give it.
Okay. Mine's probably going to be a little similar. I'll start at the top, though, with E.T. E.T. is probably my favorite out of all of those. And then I'd probably say War of the Worlds, if I'm being honest. I really like that movie. Probably one of the best, like, evil alien movies I've ever seen. And then I'd probably say Close Encounters after that, and then Disclosure Day. But it's all close. I mean, I gave Disclosure Day an 8, so it's like, all of these are like
movies, in my opinion.
top tier movies.
Yeah.
And then like drop it all the way down. You have Crystal Skull. I mean, it's not a bad movie, but it's definitely not anywhere near the quality of these, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's still entertaining though.
Yeah, it's the fourth in the franchise of Indiana Jones, so kind of loses a little bit of its esteem, if you will. But
yeah,
I can get behind that. I think the only reason I put War of the Worlds a little lower is because it's not as original as the others, right? All the other stories are original movies, original stories. War of the Worlds is kind of a repeat.
It's based off a book.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, they made a movie about that, a million years ago, and there's the whole Orson Welles story, from where it came from and all this other stuff. So, not a lot of originality there, and it was more of to me, it was like the Michael Bay of Steven Spielberg movies, where there's just a lot
of
violence and blood. But it was a good story. I mean, War of the Worlds is a good movie, solid. Tom Cruise, great, and all that kind of stuff. But I just think the other ones have a more powerful story too.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I have a surprise question for you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. One since we're on this topic, where on your own personal understanding of what's going on right now with Alien Reveal, do you believe in that aliens are visiting Earth or have visited Earth or are somehow in coordination with governments and stuff like that?
I don't think so. I feel like I just don't believe that the government could like keep that as much of a secret as like everyone thinks they can, I feel like if aliens had visited, especially in the past like few decades, I feel like there would be a lot more like, I don't know, I feel like people would know. You know, like I know the government likes to keep things secret and stuff, but like this isn't like a movie. You know, things slip, stuff happens. So I don't think that they would be able to keep that a secret as much as they think they could. Maybe they could. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't believe that aliens have reached Earth yet. I feel like that's very what do you call it? Improbable, I guess. I don't think aliens have touched Earth yet. I think they exist. I think aliens exist, but I don't think they have
Visited.
touched Earth yet. Yeah, my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
What about you?
I do believe in a lot of what's happening. I do think that we've had some kind of contact with them, and or they are a regular part of, like visiting and that kind of thing. I don't know if you call it visiting or whatever, but I do think that they are monitoring our activities and are like some of the stuff we do see about UFOs are real. I don't go as far as to say like some of the crazy stories out there and whatever that you hear on the internet, but I do think there's some form of visitation, and that they are somehow involved in our society. To what degree, I don't know, and all that stuff, obviously, but I do think that there's something to all the stories. And one of the reasons I say that is because there's been some real footage that's been released from the Department of Defense, especially around what the Navy has captured with some of their fighters in pursuit. That just can't be explained. It can't be explained by the pilots. It can't be explained by just the visual, what's visually happening on screen, those kinds of things. And not only that, but there's been some very high-profile interviews with people who were like undersecretaries of defense, people who were embedded in our intelligence programs, and this is stuff that they've testified in front of Congress about. These are former government officials or agents or Navy pilots and things like that have officially testified under oath in front of Congress, both in classified and unclassified settings, to some degree of contact with an alien species, or at least can't go as far as to say someone's met an alien, but you can say we've seen craft and we've seen things happen that just cannot be explained by modern physics. They can't be explained by what we understand our ability to be able to fly and maneuver in the air and in the water, by the way. You just can't explain it. So in lieu of somebody saying, oh, well, the American government has, somehow leaped, 7 generations in our understanding of physics and stuff like that, and nobody knew about it. In lieu of something crazy like that, it seems easier to believe, oh, it's aliens. I mean, what's easier to believe, that somehow we're like, we've jumped light years ahead in technology without anybody really, noticing, or that there is some kind of alien presence here that we can't explain. I think that is what's kind of happening, and I think that the Disclosure Day movie actually kind of talks about that in a more realistic setting. I mean, the stuff with Emily Blunt and kind of the cheesy points, minus that, but some of the things where you have some of our contractors in the defense industry, and they're the ones that are actually kind of doing a lot of this on behalf of the government, allows the government to keep secrets in a way that you said they couldn't, because they don't know about it, right? Or at least the highest echelons of government don't really know about it, because they technically aren't doing it. The government isn't technically doing it. They're offshoring it to, these giant systems integrators that they call, like Lockheed, and people are very familiar with some of these brands. To me, if you did it that way, that gives the government the buffer they need to keep secrets, because if you don't know something, you can't reveal a secret. So I think that's kind of how there's something there is what I believe. Will we ever really know? I don't know, but I tend to believe a lot of what some of these, in the last couple of years, especially some of the things that have been revealed that are official government sources, official government footage, those kinds of things are very interesting to see. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe that it's possible. I don't know. I guess I just won't believe it until I have like more concrete like
I think that's a lot of people.
proof.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of these days we'll have the disclosure day, and then the whole world
Yeah,
will be turned
maybe.
upside down. So
I guess we'll find out. But thank you guys for watching this episode. I appreciate you spending your time to watch the podcast today. Next episode, we are going to touch on Supergirl, and that should come out soon, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we appreciate you watching this episode. We will see you next time. Bye.
See you.